History has to be written by someone, right? But how do we write about the writers? Or in other words, who watches the Watchmen? Hey, Cypher here. Historiography plays an important role in history research. Historians have to do quite a few things when they're doing their research, but first and foremost, they have to read the historiography. Simply put, historiography is the history of history. On most subjects, someone has already written a history on it, and on a lot of them, a whole lot of historians have written on it. If anyone plans to contribute something new, part of doing your due diligence and research is finding what everyone else has said before you. This serves a dual purpose. One, you are making sure that you're not repeating any other historians, and two, you're finding out what everybody else is using as sources. All the previous literature on a subject is called the historiography. When writing a new work of history, whether it's a monograph or an article, a historian is expected to include at least a paragraph on the historiography of their subject. And that is also to explain how their work is placed within that historiography. Because of this historiographical requirement, historians have to read a lot. Probably more than any other profession, given that that's only half of their research. Then they have to move on to primary sources. But it does show how anybody can write history, and it gives a path of study. When I've written for classes or journals, I always begin my research with the historiography. I think of it as working from the outside in. It's a good method. In a perfect world, using this method, you'd begin by reading the most recent work of history, working back chronologically until you're reading the oldest work of history on the subject. Of course, as you're working backwards, you almost always serendipitously run into other historians. But that's okay though. Trust me, we all do that. After having read all of that, you would be quite a formidable expert on your given subject. That's why we do historiography. Once you've read the historiography, then you start reading the primary sources. I've already explained the difference between primary and secondary sources, and I'll be explaining how you should read primary sources in other videos. Be sure to check it out and subscribe while you're at it. I'll see you next time.